All right, which of these ways is the best way to stop people from speeding on a regular basis? Is it speeding tickets? Is it those signs that say, here's the speed limit and here's how fast you're going? Or is it a police officer with a radar gun pointed at you? What do you think it is? Well, a study showed it was actually those signs that said how fast you're going and what you're supposed to be going, even if there was no consequence to that. So why do you think that is? Feedback. Yep, feedback. So we're more likely to change our behaviors if we have feedback on how we're actually doing. And of course, the more often we get that feedback, for example, if that sign was on a street that we frequent often, then it's more likely to change our behavior. So the same thing goes for parenting. So this is just a great example of how we parents should act if we want to change our child's behaviors. So if we're trying to get them to make their bed, or if we're just trying to reduce their anxiety, or maybe even focus on fidgeting less, okay? We got to give them feedback, and the feedback should be these three things. It should be given often, it should be consistent, and it should be delivered in a non-shaming way. For example, let's say your child has ADHD and struggles to stay seated when they're eating dinner at the dinner table or at a restaurant, right? So you've got to give them non-shaming feedback every time they get up. Like, Jack, your bottom's out of the seat again, versus sit down. They're trying. I mean, they're not trying to get out of their seat all the time, but they need that feedback to modify their behavior. So it will likely have to be said often and throughout the meal, which can be very aggravating, I realize, for us parents. So sometimes you might also have an abbreviated code phrase so that you're not shaming them when there's guests around. For example, it might be too much air, and that could mean that there's too much air between their bottom and the seat. So saying too much air could be a nice way to cue them that they need to get their bottom back in their seat. Okay, now, here's another way you can do that. Now, I'm hesitant to say this, and I'll say why in a minute, but for example, if you made a makeshift seat belt, that's another way that provides constant feedback. Every time they try to go up, they're going to feel that seat belt. But I'm hesitant because I am not saying that you should tie your child to a chair. Not at all, okay? In the medical field, we call that a restraint, and it's a huge no-no. But if you give them a seat belt, something that they can tie on themselves or buckle themselves, I mean, you're probably not going to have a buckle, but if you have a rope or something that you can tie in the front, that they can tie themselves, they can put themselves in there, and they can undo it at their own will, and it gives them control, it still gives them a cue every time they go up to get out of their seat. It reminds them to sit back down, because that takes constant feedback to modify that behavior. So of course, just use caution and judgment if you use that technique. But you get the idea. The idea is that we're going for constant feedback. So again, we need to give feedback that is given often, that is consistent, and non-shaming. So the point of all this is that that's what you need to change behaviors, just like we need those signs that tell us what speed we're going. Okay? So that's it for today's Monday Minute. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.